But you hear the chainsaws going behind me here on Ponce between Springdale and Moreland Avenue. And what's left of a big tree that came down just before 6 a.m. is getting cut apart. About 7 different work trucks I've counted that are out here working on it now. It took them a couple of hours to get here. They got here around 8 a.m. And then you can see behind me, I'll step out of the way, the action that's going on. They're blowing away some of the sawdust. They've cut away the giant trunk. In fact, to the far right of the scene here, I don't know, boys, if you can see it, but you can actually see what's left of the trunk over there. Now, here's what happened. There was a car coming down Ponce, a gentleman on his way to work, and you can see here there was a car tangled up in these branches earlier from our drone video. The driver said he was coming along, and that tree fell right in front of his car. If it had been just a couple of seconds either way, it could have crushed him, but fortunately he was uninjured. That car has been towed away. The driver, like I said, is okay. Now, with Ponce still shut here east of Moreland Avenue. I think we have the maps here. We can show you what the backups are like. Ponce westbound all morning has been backed up after Clifton. People coming up Moreland that were thinking they were going to hang a right here in Ponce have had to go up Briarcliff to North Decatur. And those alternates, especially to Cab Avenue and North Decatur, have been a mess, guys. Fortunately, we're on the back end of rush hour, and they're close to clearing this tree, and the power stayed on, too.
Doug, so terrifying to see that drone video and to see just how close this gentleman came to losing his life. I mean, he is truly lucky to be alive. It's a cliche, but it is true in this case. I mean, how do you feel after something like that? Did he tell you how he's feeling right now?
Well, for sure. He talked to myself and several of the other media that were lined up. He didn't want to go on camera, and we understand, but he was shaken up, and he was just basically thanking God because it could have been just a couple of seconds. He was supposed to be work at 6 a.m., just a routine drive, and that tree came down right in front of him. Dan, he also said he had to climb out of the driver's window, couldn't open the door because he was surrounded by the limbs, but he was definitely even an hour and a half or so after it happened, shaken up, is still actually physically shaken, but now he's thankfully unhurt and just having to work with insurance to get that car fixed.
And Doug, you've worked in this town for decades covering traffic. So in your experience, how long does it take to clean up something like this?
For sure. Well, we thought it might take longer, especially because the response, frankly, wasn't so rapid getting here. There were no tree crews or anybody when we got on scene about 6:15, 6:30 this morning. But as soon as they got here, they got quickly to work. And the key here, and I mentioned earlier, there are no wires down. There was no power out, so they could simply just mechanically remove the tree. And because the driver was unhurt, or there was not a fatality or anything, there was no additional investigation. So the car's been towed, and now it's just simply timber patrol right here, and I'm not making light of it. And they're cutting this big time. They've got several cranes over here. The other thing that may have added just a few minutes to it is that another tree was damaged when that tree came across the road, so they're having to make sure it's stable too, so we don't have another incident like this later on.
Doug, it may be too early to know, but have crews said whether this was because of ice buildup that caused this tree to fall?
I don't think it is. There's not any, I mean, no one has told me that, but just looking at the trees here, everything, fortunately, the heavy winds actually dried up a lot of the liquid, and we got into the low 40s or yesterday afternoon, so that really took care of all the ice. Also, we're not having the gusty winds that we had Monday, so this might have just been one of those things, but it could have been weakened by, remember, we've had this drought going on since, what, October, November? We'll have to get Chesley to answer that. But you can hear him yelling timber behind us here, so thankfully that's not falling toward us, by the way. But you know, there's several different factors in play, but I'm sure the cold weather and what we had a couple of days ago didn't help.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Doug, thanks for putting in perspective for us. I really appreciated that drone view. Kind of tells the story of just how lucky that gentleman is, and we are grateful that this is a happy story this morning. We can all deal with you know, a road closure to save a life.